Okay, well, welcome to this edition of DaveEd. I have with me Ben Christensen here. Thank you for joining me, Ben.
Privileged to be here.
So, first question I'm going to ask you is, how's the campaign going?
So far, I mean, it's just like any other campaign out there. You're going to have your fair share of critics. I've certainly garnered my fair share. I think actually a lot more so than others, just because I've been a lot more outspoken about some of the issues in our city and
Interesting.
trying to hold people accountable to some of the double standards that I'm seeing.
Okay.
In our city.
So what sort of, like, I actually don't know. What do you mean by you've had some of your critics? What are these critics saying?
Just generally, like a lot of people on social media that are engaging, being kind of critical of me as
For
a
sure.
thing. The typical, oh, you're the village idiot, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't take it hard. I just kind of keep doing what I'm doing. And
one of the things that I've learned, obviously being in the same situation myself, is that you put yourself on social media and you boost a post or whatever, and that puts you more susceptible to those critics, and you just have to develop thick skin, don't you?
Absolutely.
It's something that they wouldn't understand, but hey, we grow, we learn, and we grow because of that.
Absolutely, and that's the beauty of it. Like I worked in professional sales for several years.
Yeah.
Both as a door-to-door sales rep all the way up to sales management, and it takes a lot of thick skin just to be able to persist in that field, and so I think you're onto something there, that a lot of people who are in this position certainly have to have that thick skin to be able to, I guess, maintain their composure and be able to kind of rise above it and still be able to get the message across that they're shooting for.
A lot of psychologists refer to being adult as putting yourself in situations of discomfort for growth, right? And that's kind of what we do here. I'm not putting myself in this uncomfortable situation just because I grow. I'm putting myself in this situation because I want to help on the school board, and you want to help the city. But a side effect of that is we actually feel uncomfortable sometimes because you have these critics saying these mean things about us and calling us these rude names. But we grow, we
Absolutely.
become more of an adult, don't we?
Absolutely. It strengthens us. Sorry, keep bumping that. It strengthens us in a lot of ways too. Even just putting ourselves out there to have that, I guess, to be able to withstand and have that resolve, it gives you a little bit of character strength.
For sure. So, Ben, what makes you a good candidate for the city councillor?
So, myself, I'm from Southern Alberta. I grew up here. I grew up in the town of McGrath. We were talking a little bit about that earlier.
Yeah.
So I come from a small town background, and I believe that Lethbridge still has that kind of small town roots, and that small town feel, even though we are a growing city. And I think over the past probably 8 or 10 years, we've kind of lost sense of that a little bit, and we've become a little bit divided. And so my goal is to work on bringing back that unity in our city, bringing back that sense of community that we had that's kind of been lost and dwindled a little bit.
So what you're saying is, and I thought of this myself, Lethbridge's geography is unique because it has two sides to it, right? It has the west side, and then it has the south side and the north side, and it's divided by this coulee, this coulee, and right now there's, we have the high level bridge, and then we have the old highway bridge, and then we have Whoop-Up Drive Bridge. And what you're saying is you want to see more unity, and you want to see another bridge built, but not of the material kind, more of the, hey, let's make this work, let's become more unified on different things. How are we divided?
I actually like that you referenced that sort of as a metaphor of building the bridges between our community. There's been a lot of divide as far as, and this has been something I've tackled right from the start, is people asking about political leanings. Are you left, or you're right, or are you conservative, or you liberal?
For sure.
We never used to have that in our community. That was never an issue. And over the past few years, I'm not sure what's changed, but there's been a shift in the social dynamic in our community where people have been more focused on mainstream political issues rather than focusing on the community issues that we deal with. Things like the opioid crisis, homelessness issues, addictions. These are all issues that our community faces, and people are more worried about the bigger, broader things and seem to be kind of distracted from that a little bit. Instead, we're focusing on whether we should dispute vaccinations. We're focused on climate change. These are issues that the provincial and federal governments are more responsible for, but for some reason they've kind of snuck their way into our community a little bit, and so it's created that divide in perspective that.
So what I'm hearing from you, Ben, is you're feeling like the mainstream media issues are distracting local residents from their own issues in front of us that we are in control of and perhaps need to take action on individually so the collective community can benefit from that. Is that what you're saying?
That's a good way of saying it. We're being distracted by the larger main scale issues that we're being bombarded with, especially with the presence of social media, which we didn't have as much of, say, in the last 10 years.
For sure.
And so those issues seem to be taking just a little bit more of a hold in political discussion, whereas 10 years ago we would have said, so, hey, who are you voting for? Are you voting for Chris Spearman, or are you voting for whoever else was running at that time? And now it's, well, you're a leftist, you're a rightist, and we've again shifted away from that and gotten distracted by mainstream politics instead of having that dialogue on the issues that we need to be discussing. Things like I said, like the opioid crisis. It's great that we're having the discussions on the bigger issues. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to deter people from having those discussions, but they just aren't discussions that need to be had at the municipal level when discussing who we're going to have leading our city at the municipal level for the next 4 years going forward.
So you're feeling like you need people who are willing to hop on Whoop Up Drive and be able to cross that bridge, and in order to do that you have to have dialogue and be willing to have dialogue, and you yourself seem like you're certainly wanting to have that dialogue and tackle those issues and forget about the fact that, hey, I vote for this party, you vote for that party. I personally believe in voting for individuals, getting to know that individual, forget the brand that is associated with whatever color is on their sign, but who are these individuals? Are they honest? Are they reliable?
Yeah.
Are they accountable? Those attributes, I believe, are unfortunately being overshadowed by the color on the sign.
Absolutely, and that partisan divide, that partisanship, and that focus on that really is almost doing our community a disservice in a lot of ways, because
it's taking the unity out of community, right?
Absolutely, and that's actually part of my campaign that I did create. I created what I call the Come Unity movement, and it's all about promoting random acts of humanitarian
I like that.
compassion,
charity.
It's not even a charity, it's just a movement. It's just there to encourage people and remind people that we are a community and we need to just unite ourselves by doing random acts of good for ourselves and for others.
But that's what I define as charity. Like, you can have an official government charity, but I'm saying like the attribute of charity is those random acts of kindness that absolutely need to be more. There need to be more of that. So what do you think the number one issue is as far as what divides Lethbridge?
I think the biggest thing right now has definitely been the opioid crisis and the focus on the supervised consumption side. It keeps coming up as a mainstream issue, and I don't really know where that divide began necessarily in our community, but it just seems to keep coming up as a question. It keeps coming up as a topic for discussion, and people are forgetting that was actually mainly a provincially made decision. Although our city council worked with the provincial government to facilitate that, a lot of that decision-making process was at the provincial level back at the time when we had the NDP government, and now it's kind of been, I guess, blame shifted, and everybody's wanting to put the blame on the local leadership rather than really pointing the finger at the past
aspect,
provincial
yeah.
leadership
Okay.
who made those decisions.
Okay. Well, we're gonna call it quits there. We're out of time, and I certainly wish you the best of luck, Ben. And you know, my number one issue is trying to bring in bridge builders who are going to, you know, help build this bridge that we really need in the community, to help us be more unified.
Mm-hmm.
And I certainly think that one of those action items that we can all do is those random acts of kindness that you mentioned. Do you have any final words?
Well, like I said, I really think that as you hit the nail on the head earlier when you said that people need to focus on, instead of focusing on one's political leanings, let's focus on a person's character, a person's integrity, how they carry themselves in the community, and make that the basis for our decision on who we choose to elect going forward, because I think that's more important to our community than worrying about the bigger issues that have been divisive in our city. Let's focus on making informed decisions about who the people are running for council, and not let ourselves get distracted by that confusion that's been put in front of us.
Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate you coming on today, Ben, and I wish you the best of luck come Monday, October 18th.
Thank you very much for having me, Dave, and also good luck to yourself as in your run for the trusteeship as well.
Thank you so much.